Hey there. So this week, the energy is all about rationalization. It's the Gate 24, and we're going to be talking about what to expect and how that probably will affect you and the people around you this week to see what you'll all be rationalizing. So you can rationalize anything that's funny to tragic and everything in between. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so what's up with the energy this week? We've got the sun in gate 24. It started April 28th. It goes until May 3rd, and the earth is in gate 44. So we've got the gate 24 coming off the top of the head up here in the middle. And then we got the 44 coming off the top of the spleen over here. And it's the gate of alertness. The gate 24 is the gate of rationalization. And again, we have we start the week with only the root and the sacral defined through the 5342 channel, which is called maturation. And so we got the sacral and the root defined. And then later in the week, it moves to the gate 360, which is the channel of evolution or growth. And that is keeping the same two centers defined, the sacral again and the root center. So there's no change theoretically, because the two centers that'll be defined will still be defined. And so everybody who's not a generator will feel like a generator. And it's also kind of the rootedness feeling, the groundedness that you might feel from the root. But the sacral is the big determinant, because anybody who doesn't have a sacral is going to feel like they have a sacral. And that can feel energizing, but it's also the time when you might want to rest. The other thing about this is that we're in Mercury retrograde, and that'll continue until May 14th. And the nodes are also in retrograde, and so if you're feeling the effects of Mercury retrograde, I'm sorry, but it's got another week or so to go. So this gate 24, it's all about rationalization or the return. It's part of the holistic channel in human design. It's a very holistic type of energy. It's neither logical nor abstract. It's a combination of the two. It's a synergy really of the two. And so it's they describe it as the natural and spontaneous process of transformation and renewal, kind of how we make decisions in our head decisions. It's also about invention and creativity. Spontaneous conceptualization is the other way they describe it. And it helps us to come up with new ideas. And it might not always look like rationalization, but what it looks like are holistic ideas, inventive ideas, things that are kind of new and creative and different. And what we'll get to in the Gene Keys is the way we get there to that creativity is by allowing ourselves to be quiet, to allow the quietness so that we can hear what's coming through, basically. The incarnation crosses this week are the cross of the four ways, rationalization and incarnation. And in quantum human design, it's called blessings. So in the gate 44, we've got alertness. Coming to meet or alertness in the original I Ching, it's part of the tribal business circuit. It's literally about meeting the people that you need. It's literally in business, not really in other kinds of relationships, but in business. It's meeting the people that you need to meet. So whether it's vendors or new clients or new employees or people who are going to do a joint venture with you, business partners, anything like that, it's totally about that kind of stuff. And it's basically being able to find those people and hire them or work with them in a way that works for you. So they say that the success of any interaction is based on the absence of any preconditions, because this is also the fear of the past, right? It's the fear of the past in terms of when you might have hired or worked with somebody in the past that didn't work out. So you can let go of the past, don't have any preconditions, learn the lessons that you did from those previous relationships, but then go ahead and move forward without any preconditions. In the Gene Keys, interference is the shadow, teamwork is the gift, and synarchy, which is the opposite of anarchy, is the CD. And in quantum human design, this is called patterns. So in the Gene Key 24, what we're looking at on the shadow side, the lowest side of this is addiction. And it is an indication, or it can be an indication in some addictive personalities. The repressive side would be frozen, where they're gripped by fear and they can't move forward. And on the reactive side, it's much more energetic but anxious. And as Richard says, is the repressive side can be more prone to alcoholism because you're frozen in, kind of stuck in where you are. And on the anxious side, it's more likely to be drug related or hyperactive personality disorders that might be anxious, filled with anxiety. The gift is on the next level, invention, and then the CD is silence. And so that's why the highest level here is to come to silence so that you can be both inventive and come up with new ideas, creativity, and holistic ideas that'll work for not only yourself, but for others. On the graphic, he says silence is a treasure beyond all others. It actually sparkles with life like the stars. And he also says all modes of thinking are addictive. We do tend to go up into our heads a lot, and this kind of energy, especially around rationalization, can be very addictive. A lot of us rationalize a lot of things, right? I happen to have this gate in my chart. It's not the entire channel, but it's just the gate. And it's addictive to try to come up with answers for things, right? To try to come up with ways to solve things. And he also says addiction thinks in circles. Think of a hamster wheel, right? Around and around and around, doing the same thing over and over again. Whereas invention thinks in spirals, right? Where it's going up and up and up into larger and larger concentric circles, right? And so if you can kind of think of it that way, the addiction is being stuck. It's not finding a way out. It's not being able to basically rationalize your way out of things. It's feeling the hopelessness that might come with this state. Because if you can't, kind of rationalize your way out of things, then where are you? You're stuck. And then we rationalize a lot of things. As I've been thinking about this gate, there's a lot of things we rationalize. We rationalize that, my hair doesn't look quite as good on the video as it does in the mirror. Why is that? And trying to figure out why, how I can rationalize that, right? Well, this is 4 or 5D or, whatever it is in terms of much clearer perceptions. And so the mirror is not that. And yet we get to rationalize things like that so that we feel good, right? But some people rationalize so that they don't feel good, and that's the hamster wheel, right? And so the more we can come up with ways to be silent, to allow that voice to come through the head and the ajna and come up with either solutions or possible solutions or different ways to do things or different ways to rationalize things, the better we'll feel. So as usual, we have a number of personalities who are born this week. And these are as I said, the right angle across the 4 ways, rationalization and incarnation. We're going to be talking about Jessica Alba, but there are a lot of other actors and actresses. David Beckham, the soccer player, Duke Ellington, the band leader from the 50s, 40s, 50s, 30s, 40s, 50s, probably throughout the 20th century. Penelope Cruz, who's a great actress, Audrey Hepburn, of course, Rock, Donatella Versace, the fashion designer, and Bertie Madoff, who we talked about last time, who obviously rationalized both the legal and the illegal parts of his business, right? Because I saw a documentary about that recently, and basically he was, Mr. Johnny on the spot when it came to the legal stuff, the legal business, the one he had with his sons and his brother, and then the other one on a different floor was completely illegal, and there wasn't anything redeeming about it. It was completely a Ponzi scheme. So we're going to be talking about Jessica Alba today. She's started out as an actress actually, and is now an entrepreneur, and is actually the chief creative officer of Honest, company that she created and now is run by another company. She was born on April 28th in 1981, so she's just turning 42 this year. She's born in Pomona, California. She's a generator with a 1-4 profile. So I don't think we've really done a 1-4 profile, so we'll get into that a little bit. And she's right across the 4 ways. She was she started actually quite early in her career. I think she was only like 13 or 14 when she started acting, but she had a very ill childhood. She was in the hospital quite a bit. She had asthma, she had pneumonia a number of times. She had a bunch of things wrong with her that kept her in the hospital. They also moved a lot, and so it was really hard for her to make friends and to feel like she was staying put. But once they, I guess, got back to the Los Angeles area, she started acting and was quite well known by the time she was 19 and in Dark Angel as a series on TV. She's already been in 40 movies, a number of different television shows. The Dark Angel was the longest one. She did over 2 years role and was nominated for a Golden Globe for that work. But she's a generator and she has the open throat, will center, and spleen. The open spleen might explain a little bit about the illness when she was younger. She might have had, some things wrong that she was quite sensitive to. And actually, we'll talk about the sensitivity in a moment. She has a defined head and with that entire channel of the 6124. So it's 24 is the rationalization and 61 is the thinker. And so she's always asking the question, why, right? And that led her basically into her, after a relatively successful career as an actress and named as one of the most beautiful women in many, many lists of beautiful women. She is now running, or at least part of, her company, Honest. And she founded it with a friend of hers and started this company, Honest, because her own children and I suspect she as a child also were experiencing sensitivity to the toxic materials that were in some baby products, all different types of baby products, from the diapers to shampoo to, bath products and things like that. But if we look at her chart, it's not a surprise. She's got the entire channel of the 1949, which is all about sensitivity. So she's got the holistic thinker up here, right? The 6124, this entire channel of holistic thinking and asking the question why, and then coming up with rationalizations, right? Answers. And she's got the gate 11 here. So that's her only, those are her only processes in terms of thinking, coming up with ideas, rationalizing, and asking the question why in no particular order, right? You could go back and forth. And then she's got the open throat. And so it's going to come out when she's asked the question. Took it upon herself to create this company so that she could take care of her own children. So she tested and she hired the engineers and biologists and chemists and everybody that you needed to do this kind of work and raise some capital to do it. She does have the entire 214, which is all about making money and then saving and spending it appropriately. So she's a good businesswoman. She actually doesn't have a lot more of the business circuit in there except for the gate 32. She does have the 32, both conscious and unconscious. So that is about starting, creating, and continuing a business. It's actually the gate of duration. So it's the duration of a successful business. She's got the gate 18, which is all about correcting. She's very interested in changing and correcting and improving things. That makes a lot of sense. She's got the 48. Actually, she's got the 48 twice over here. And the 48 is the gate of depth. So she is going to get to the bottom of things and really find out ways to do them appropriately, correctly, and in a way that feels really good for her. She does have the gate of multitasking over here. She's got that gate of alertness. So she's probably pretty good at picking out the employees and the people that she needs to be in her business. She's got the gate 46, which is no surprise. That's all about the body, the caring of the body, taking care of the body, looking good in the body. It's when you look at her, you might think it's a superficial thing, but it's not. For her, it's internal. It's internal beauty. It's internal feeling good and looking good, and knowing that the body is whole and satisfied and content and healthy. It's a gate that the love of the flesh is a gate 46 that a lot of people have who are healthcare professionals. So I really wasn't too surprised to see that she's got that in her chart, because that's, will help with the business, definitely. It is also the gate 46, though, is also an interesting one in that it puts basically a barbed wire fence around our purpose. So if we're not doing what we're here to do, then we might get sick. We might not feel well. It might stop us from doing what we thought we were supposed to do until we get on the path that we're supposed to do. And her Chiron is in the gate 2, which she does have in her chart. Here, it's that gate of allocation of resources, saving and spending appropriately. And so after 50 years old, because she was born before 1987. After 50 years old, she'll actually be more into, perhaps more into, it could be the same company, but into saving and spending the resources, and perhaps allocation of resources for others. So, sorry, back to the, so she's got the root to the solar plexus twice. But they're both tribal channels. Because in 1949, 49 is all about principles. The 19 is all about sensitivity to emotions, but tactile sensitivity. So I suspect she was sensitive when she was a child also to the toxins that were in, whatever products her mother was using. And she was especially aware of them as she was, and it is up in her unconscious sun, this 19. So it's a big deal for her. Privacy is also a big deal. That's in the 33. And she's got the 31 off the throat, which is the gate of influence. So when she does speak, it's influential. But this 1949 is all about sensitivity and the principles surrounding those. So she took it on herself to create, because she was so, because she cares so much about the principles of healthy living and non-toxic products and taking care of her children. This is tribal, right? She was able to create the company that, in fact, did away with all the toxins that can be in products for children. And besides that, she's got the 41, which is creativity and desire. So this is the entire channel of fantasy and desire. She's got the fantasy to be creative and to come up with new ideas and new products. And she actually likes being in the lab. I saw an interview with her, and she actually loves being in the lab, trying new products, and she tries them on her children quite a bit, she said. And then she's got the 30, and she's got that both conscious and unconscious right up in her moon on the conscious side. And then over here in Mercury, which is communication, on the unconscious side. So she's probably quite intense about the business. She was quite intense, obviously, to have done 40 movies by the time you're 35 years old is quite a bit. And she was serious about her acting career. She's quite serious about this company and taking care of her children and making sure that everyone's children has toxin-free products for their children. So it's a purpose that she's taken on, that she's very serious about, and I think she'll do quite well. She's going to have some bumps. Generators do. She's got the triple split definition, and she does have the 4-1, or the 1-4. So she's got consciously, she's an investigator, which makes sense with the company, right? And all the different things she's done already in her life. And the 4 is about being, it's a very grounded energy. The 1 is also, but the 1 and the 4 are the basis for the I Ching hexagrams, and they need stability. So she, having her own company, is a lot more stable than life as an actress, right? Going from one project to the next, changing, locations and moving around and all of that. Now she gets to have a basis. She's got a home base. She's got a company in a beautiful area, and she doesn't have the open G. She doesn't need the location for that, but for the 1-4, she needs a base of operation, and she needs to feel comfortable there and be able to depend on that. She doesn't like change. She doesn't like change at all. And the more safety and groundedness she gets to feel in whatever she does, the better she'll feel. And that 4 is also about, it's the opportunist. So she's about finding opportunities and parlaying those into prospects for her and her family. So that's Jessica Alpa. Happy birthday, Jessica. And I hope you have a wonderful week. Just watch for people who are rationalizing. If you're trying to rationalize things yourself, that might come up too. And just be aware of how that might affect you. If they're, just beware if their rationalizations affect you in a negative way, you get to rationalize back, right? And stand up for yourself and find a way to make a deal that works for you. And I always want you to be watching out for yourself. So have a good week, and I'll see you next time. Be well.